Hey, it's Liz D'Alto, and this is the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. From body image, sex, spirituality, money and relationships, to motherhood, creativity, business, communication, and desire, Untamed the Wild Soul Woman is the place to come for real stories and powerful advice to help you reclaim and redefine womanhood in the 21st century. Elizabeth D'Alto here, your host for the Untamed the Wild Soul podcast. And today we have a really, really important subject I want to get into. This is the first installment in a new segment of what I'm calling the conscious rant, because no one specifically asked me a question about this, but it's been super, super up in the collective of my own personal community and even some of my friendships and relationships where, emotions are an unavoidable thing. So today we're talking about how to treat emotions with the respect they deserve. And real quick, before we dive in, I just want to remind you, if you love the podcast, it's super, super helpful for us, and we'd mega appreciate it if you could log into iTunes and leave a review. We get so many amazing notes on Facebook and in comments and to our emails about how incredible the podcast is. When you leave those as reviews in iTunes, it helps other people search out the show. It helps us reach more people who could use the message, who could use the wisdom, the advice, the tips, the community, and all that. So you can certainly help us by leaving that review on iTunes. And thank you so much. Also, if you find this useful, definitely share it. Send it to your friends, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever it is that you share information or you hang out on the social medias. That's also incredibly helpful, because we're not just here for ourselves, right? If something's helpful for us, it could probably help other people too. And really, that's why we do this. We do this to have an impact. We do this to provide information, content, advice, community for people who are out there who could use it, who need it, right? We've all had that experience of feeling like we're alone in the world, or like no one can relate to us, or no one understands. And the fact is that a lot of people can relate to you. A lot of people get it, and a lot of people understand. And a lot of them are us, our amazing community. So you can join us at untameyourself.com/Facebook if you want to be conversing with that community and talking about these topics and taking the conversation deeper. And with all of that, let's get into the treatment of emotions. So I wrote down a couple of notes here so I don't leave anything out. So let me just tell you let me do a little old school speaking thing here, which is I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. So here's what we're covering today: the difference between feeling emotions and reacting to emotions, the treatment of emotion in ourselves and the treatment of emotion in others, and this idea that by nature, emotions can be chaotic. But what's wrong with chaos? So a lot of this conversation is going to revolve around not making things wrong, and the way we react to things, and the meaning that we put on things. Because the fact is, the pain and suffering that we go through is rarely about the actual thing that we're saying is the reason or the cause. It's often more about the meaning we're putting on the thing, the meaning we're making on the thing, or the way we're reacting to the thing. So first up, the difference between feeling emotions and reacting to them. Yesterday, I pulled this card, and one of the things that it said in the description of the card is that darkness just is. Often we're not making ourselves wrong for our good emotions. Often, sometimes we do though, right? Sometimes we think we can't have so much joy. We can't be too happy if the people around us aren't happy, or if children are starving in Africa. I did an amazing Wild Soul insider session with Alexi Panos coming up soon. We talked about that. She also has a podcast interview coming up. We also talked about that because she actually helps to build wells in Africa. And a lot of what she's learned about happiness, she has learned literally being in Africa, seeing what people who have so little make of what they have and how happy they actually are. So feeling emotions and reacting to emotions, right? So I've said this numerous times in numerous contexts. I believe the first place I read it was in a Pema Chodron book. I think it was the one on being comfortable or living with uncertainty. But it was a quote from a woman named Jill Bolt Taylor from her book, which I believe is called Stroke of Insight, which I haven't read. But the concept, and not the concept, like the scientifically proven thing apparently, is that emotions really only last 90 seconds. So you feel an emotion, and it's there, 90 seconds, done. But the drawing out, anything we feel beyond the 90 seconds is our reaction to the emotion? Is the meaning that we're putting on the emotion? Is the drama that we're spinning around the emotion? Is the story that we're telling ourselves about feeling the emotion? So the felt experience of the emotion really is fleeting, and it's everything else we do in reaction response to it that makes it last really long. So that's the difference between just feeling something. Feeling it is just noticing it, like, oh, hey, there's some anger in there. And that's that. I had that experience this morning, just before I started recording this, which of course I'm going to have to take my own medicine if I'm going to teach something, or if I'm going to talk about something, or I'm going to rant about something. I noticed I felt angry. And here's what I literally did. I had a conversation with myself. Listen, I'd rather be weird and better deal with my emotions than keep it together and not do some of these weird things and feel shitty all the time. So I was like, oh, cool, there's some anger. And I literally talked to it out loud to myself in the bathroom as I was doing my makeup. I was like, oh, hey, anger, I see you in there. Thank you. Just going to feel that. And guess what? I don't feel angry anymore, right? It just wasn't, I didn't need to analyze it. I didn't need to pick it apart. Why am I feeling angry? And for those of you who have listened to many episodes now where we've talked about cutting cords, I just cut my cords. I grounded myself, got back into my body, took a couple of deep breaths. I mean, I'm talking about basic human needs here, people. I talk about that all the time. So often when we're freaking out about things, we're out of our bodies. We're either up in our head about something, or we're out of our body, or we're paying all of our attention or all of our power is going outside of ourselves. To cut cords from whatever it is that's going on and ground yourself, like that is step one. And then drink some water, make sure you've eaten, and if you're well rested, get a good night's freaking sleep. Because often the reason why we're having the reactions is because our basic human needs aren't taken care of. So take care of your basic human needs, and you're going to have better engagement with your emotion and other people's emotions. So let's talk about that treatment of emotions and ourselves and other people. And this is where the conversation of making things wrong really comes up. I was actually going to record this episode on Monday. My life is a series of perfectly timed moments, choices, and decisions. So today is Wednesday, actually. And so the episode will either be going up later today or tomorrow. Because as I shoot these in real time, I typically don't batch these because I do like to pay attention to what's up in the collective, like what's going on with the people in our community. What are the posts that are happening in the Facebook group? How can I offer something that's presently helpful and useful? And so I was supposed to shoot this on Monday and I didn't for whatever reason. And then yesterday I was busy. And so this morning, one of the first conversations posted in the Facebook group was super relevant to this. And it helped me see something that needed to be addressed. So it was super perfect because had I filmed this on Monday, I wouldn't be including this current point. And I share that with you because I'm always trying to give you excuses to realize that it's okay to follow your intuition and go with your gut. So someone shared something about a fight she'd had with her boyfriend, and she was really down on herself about it, which just reminded me, often we make other people wrong for their emotions. We think people shouldn't be having their own emotional responses, their own emotional reactions. We think people shouldn't feel the way they feel. And then often, though, we also feel like we shouldn't be feeling the way we feel. We feel like we shouldn't be doing the behaviors we're doing or acting out the way we're acting out. But the fact of the matter is, often an emotion or an emotional response is packed with information for us. We're behaving in these ways because we're hurt, because we have something that wants our attention, because something is crying out to be dealt with and looked at and healed. Maybe taken to a therapist, maybe taken to your coach, maybe just bring it into our Facebook group or talk to a trusted friend, talk to someone who's been through it, right? Get vulnerable in an appropriate and safe context so that thing isn't just festering and building up and building up. Often the emotional responses or the outrage or the way things come out sideways, it's coming out that way because we haven't dealt with it. We've stuffed it, and it becomes this combustible thing, and then boom, it explodes. And it explodes in the form of we say something really nasty or we do something. I mean, it's like one of those out-of-body experiences we have sometimes, right? Where you're watching yourself behave a certain way or do a certain thing and going, God, I don't behave like that. Like, why am I doing that right now? And it's because a piece of you is wounded. It's hurt. It needs your attention. Maybe there's like a little kid inside of you who's freaking out about something who didn't get that attention when you were little and like just needs some love from current adult you. So don't make yourself wrong for your emotions. Have them and observe them, like watch them. If something feels off or funky, go, why did I do that? What's going on here? And pay attention to it and love yourself and accept yourself through it, because making yourself wrong is just not helpful or useful. It's just going to perpetuate what we talked about earlier. And likewise, give other people the same courtesy. Like, don't make other people wrong for the feelings that they're having. And if you have a couple choices here. You can either just choose not to engage it and give someone their space to deal with whatever they're dealing with, or you can say, hey, are you okay? Like, what do you need? Is there anything I could do with you? What's going on right now? Open up a conversation with it if you feel capable, able, and like you want to hold space for it. Because that's the other thing. Often, one of the reasons why we get upset with others is we feel like they should react a different way than they're reacting, or that they should be better at dealing with our stuff. But there's a lot of people who don't have training in any of this, right? Like, I hold space for people all the time. I have a lot of training. I have a lot of experience in this. There's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who grew up with adult models who didn't know how to deal with emotions, and they just stuffed things or swept things under the rug, or just screamed and yelled at each other, and all kinds of, permutations in between that. So don't be down on yourself and don't be down on others. If you don't handle it well, you just might not know how. So whether you can find a book about it, I'm constantly referring people back to the work of Byron Katie. Anytime we're saying should or shouldn't, like you shouldn't feel that way, I shouldn't feel this way, you shouldn't react the way, I shouldn't be doing this, any of those shoulds or shouldn'ts are often, it's a great time. We'll put the link in the show notes at untameyourself.com/episode dash. I think this is 108. I might be wrong about that though. But we'll make sure it's in the show notes. You, do a Byron Katie Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. Turn that shit around and see why it's totally okay. It might not be what you prefer. It might not be, your highest and best, but it's where you are right now. It's what's happening right now. So, love what is, accept what is, get the information from it, look at it, make it useful, and do something about it, right? Like, what are you going to do about it? And then the last thing is the chaos of emotion. So this is really great. I got to have my buddy, Dr. Matt, on the podcast soon. He's a network spinal chiropractor. I work with him. I've been working with him for months, and he's just also a great friend, a really, really safe space, someone I could really talk to about anything. I appreciate him so much. And we were talking about this, about emotions, and like the nature of emotions is that they're chaotic, right? Because like sometimes it's unpredictable, or, sometimes it's a big hot emotion, or sometimes it's subtle but powerful. Like there's a lot of unpredictable things about emotions, which is what makes them chaotic. They can come out of nowhere, right? And because so many of us are uncomfortable with them or don't know how to deal with them, that kind of makes it feel chaotic. But what's wrong with chaos? Again, people make things wrong, and that causes a lot of their suffering. But we need chaos. We need friction. We need things to bump up against. We need things to stir the pot and shake things up so that we can continue to grow. If there was no chaos, there would be no growth. But my call to you is, where is the avoidable chaos, right? Like the chaos that wasn't necessary because we're creating it, because we're perpetuating it based on the things that we shared earlier, right? Our emotions, or making things wrong, or saying it shouldn't be that way, or, just dragging out the suffering. So our last episode of Wild Soul Insider, if you remember there, make sure you go check that out, because we actually talked about dealing with pain and processing through pain. And if you're not a Wild Soul Insider, we still have our early bird deal is going on through June 18th now. It's been extended. And so you can go to untameyourself.com/early-insider. And so I gave you a lot of ideas. I gave you a lot of action steps. I gave you a lot of concepts here. So if you have questions about this, you want to take the conversation deeper, always come into the Facebook group, untameyourself.com/Facebook. And if there is something that you want to go deeper on, if you need some more personal help, you can always shoot us an email at hello@wildsoulmovement.com. Always happy to see if or how we might be able to help you out with what you've got going on with one of our programs, a training, a workshop, anything else. Maybe we can just refer you to another podcast episode, whatever it is. We're here for you. We're excited for you. This is real stuff. We're having this conversation. I'm calling this a conscious rant because it's you're conscious. It's in your consciousness. It's in your awareness, or you wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. I commend you. I admire you. And I thank you for doing the work on yourself, for engaging with this, for being willing to look at the places and spaces that are uncomfortable so that you can have a better life, so that you can thrive in your health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. And so you could be a better person. You could be a better woman, or you could be a better man. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye.
So I'm always being present to where his energy goes and what he's excited and what lights him up. And recently, the thing that lights him up is playing games, but filming himself playing games. And a lot of kids now are on YouTube watching this. It's this new phenomenon where you'll watch someone filming themselves playing a video game and then narrating what they're doing. Yeah. So, some parents might say, oh my God, he's on the computer way too much screen time. But for me, that's the same as being on the piano too much. Like, there's no such thing. So instead of telling him stop doing it, I actually bought him professional equipment so that he can film himself. And just to show the point, he started his own YouTube channel without my involvement. I have to start a YouTube channel, Daddy, because I want people to see me and I want to talk to my fans.